Hey, good afternoon, guys. This is Adam with Adam Brown with Crypto Play It Safe with us. Just like to go over really quickly. Just want to say from the last video, I got a lot of negative feedback on that, and I just want to quickly explain that I go where the evidence is pointing me. I've been trading for over 20 years now, so. When I am leaning bearish, there's a reason to lean bearish, and I know that we're in a bullish trend now. But if you look from the macro perspective and all that, just from my experience and my opinion on trading, for 2 decades, is that the bottom is not confirmed yet, guys. It's not confirmed. So, but I will in this video, give the bulls their due, and I'd like to go over several pieces of evidence here that the bottom could possibly be in, and it is definitely, there is a bullish case here. So when I talk about leaning bearish as far as the macro perspective, it's also taking into account that I'm sure I'm not the only channel that you guys watch, and there's bullish charts everywhere. So for me not to give you both perspectives is doing everybody really an injustice. So as far as being an analyst, and also if you guys are in any kind of business deal or anything like that, which that's what investing is, don't you want to hear both sides before you make a decision? So that's just one thing to consider, but I don't want to come across biased. I'm a trader, and personally, if Bitcoin goes to $1, I will make money. If Bitcoin goes to $10 million, I will make money, as I'm sure many of you quality traders as well will do the same. So that's just kind of what I wanted to go into here. Now, just on a log scale, as far as the Bitcoin soul here, basically, one of the nice things here for the bulls is you can see that we have these cycles here. You call them bubble cycles, or whatever you want to call them, massive runs up followed by deep long corrections. I've drawn downtrend lines here, and one of the things I would like to first of all, I'm going to get rid of this because I'm sure it's hard for you guys to see this. Okay, the first thing is this. There's such little data here, and mind you, this is on the weekly chart, that I actually cut the wick here because it illustrates my point, and this is also very indicative of every single long-term correction will basically have the same ingredients and will follow the same action. So you can see here that we broke out of this downtrend, descending resistance here, which was framing the market for quite a while. This is probably looks like about maybe 4 months, 3 months, something like that. These are weekly candles, so you can see that we broke out here, broke above trend line, and we came back down to test it as support with a wick with massive volume. So this is this, if you're looking at this and you were trading Bitcoin at the time, oh, is it time to go long here? Because you broke, not only did you break a long-term resistance, but you came down hard, retested it as support, bounced with a nice amount of volume. So, and going to 2013 Mt. Gox to 2013 through 15, pretty much. Same deal. It's the same thing here. Long-term downtrend resistance, framing the market, the bulls just can't push past this, riding it the entire time down, and we have a breakout right here on relatively low volume. And if we go back here, we had the same thing. If you look on the first breakout here, we have low volume. Same thing here. First break above this trend line, low volume. Okay, so, and normally that's indicative of a bull trap, basically. And it's really not a bull trap, because what it is the market is turning, and the market is, the bears are exhausted, basically, and they're out of steam, and the bulls are now taking over and taking control over the market. And as you can see here, we have the same exact thing coming down and testing as support. And after that, off to the races. Same thing here. After this, I mean, we were straight up. So basically the point I'm trying to make is, if we come back here now to where we are now, now granted, I understand this, that trend lines, it's very arbitrary. If we continue sideways or we move up and then crash, this trend line can get extended. But just going on the evidence that's in front of us right now, it's the same pattern here. This is log scale, and yes, I know that there is another trend line here. There's actually two of them that we went over and we broke. I'm not paying attention to that right now, because that's not really my point. So basically, you know what? I will draw them really quickly because it actually furthers my point. So really quickly, we had our first one, and I always cut wicks. Okay, same deal here. Breakout, come back down and test as support. Same deal. You're never, I shouldn't say never, but you're almost never going to break out of a descending resistance and never come back down and touch and test that support. That you need to confirm support, basically a resistance support flip. That's just part of the process. That's how markets will turn and start gaining traction and momentum going the other direction. So again, I will draw one here really quickly. And we basically, I believe it's this one. Yeah, it's this one. So, same deal here. We broke this and we're coming, we in my opinion, we need to come back down and test as support. But anyways, going back to what I'm trying to drive at here, as far as the bullish case, we have breakout. Now we have decent volume here. But it's certainly, like I've said before, not the kind of volume that you expect to, have a never going to look back type of run here. So, it just going back to it, it's the same type of scenario here. So, I mean, if we come back down and test, I mean, how bearish is this? This would be a breakout of resistance, confirmed as support, and we are going to start looking very, very bullish here. So, that's something to keep in mind. And also, I mean, you can technically consider this a double bottom here. A double bottom doesn't need to be, exactly, a double bottom. This is technically valid as a double bottom here. But you would like to see, a much higher push up and then a test of the bottom. You want to put in a higher low here, basically, is what I'm trying to drive at. And that's not bearish. That's bullish. That's positive. That's healthy. That's how markets reverse. That's the way it goes. You're never, like I said, I shouldn't say never, but I mean, you know what I mean? I mean, guys, seriously. But as far as this, I mean, this is positive stuff here. This looks good. I mean, you also have, I mean, yes, you have declining volume here, but you also have, the volume is increasing on this move up. So, there's definitely bullish. There's definitely a bullish case here. So I just when I made the video yesterday, I had been immersed in nothing but bulls, congratulating each other on the bottom being in. So, for that, I'd like to apologize. I always try to stay objective, but the main thing is I'll never bullshit you guys. So I like to give a very realistic, analysis of the market and, a macro trend. I'm also not a short-sighted trader. I don't get wrapped up in what happened this week and what happened last week. I'm more, when it comes to trading, and specifically when it comes to analysis, that's not the way you analyze markets. So especially when you're dealing with clearly macro stuff here, this is major. This is not, your 1-2 month correction, 1-2 month bull run. This is major. So another thing I would like to point out in the bull's favor, and I have there are problems with this. In fact, I think this is less likely, but I will just point out from an Elliott perspective, I'm obviously not going to go through the entire subwaves of 10 years on a YouTube video, but there is a bullish case here where this is in fact a three-wave, and the reason I call this a bullish case is because, I'll show you in a minute, we would have to have a small 5 here. But, this count is not invalid. It's very unlikely, but it's not invalid. But the reason, and I'm not going to be able to do this on lock because the fib relationships will get messed up. But if you're an Elliott trader, you know that wave 3 can never be the shortest wave. So you have wave 1, which was clearly more bullish and a higher percentage increase than this proposed wave 3 here. So wave 3 being so short like this in comparison to wave 1, the 5 would have to be very short. But as far as a bullish case, wave 4s do not. I mean, first of all, it can't truncate, or it cannot ever trade within wave 1 unless it's some type of more complicated movement. But as far as a wave 4, wave 4s are typically shallow. So this is very deep. If you're taking this move here as 3 and this move as 4, calling the bottom in here, this is not an unreasonable retracement. So, there's that. I think this is much more unlikely. I personally think that we are correcting an entire market cycle here. But, that's remains to be seen. So I will now go to the 1 day really quickly, and I will get off of log because I need to really use some fib levels here to illustrate what I'm going through. So we'll get this out of here. This obviously doesn't make sense, not on log anymore, but I want to show you yesterday what I was talking about as far as algorithm and algo targets. Okay. We're just going to take the first. I'm actually going to take this second one because this algo was clearly in control of this market from this point. Okay, basically what I'm doing is swing high, 17,200, whatever it was, swing low, and yes, I know 20 or 19.7 would be the true swing high. but I'll get to that in a minute. I'm trying to make the bullish case here. Swing, swing high, swing low, and a typical algo target or their first target on this type of movement, whenever they don't make the 65 on a retracement, and you can see here clearly rejecting the 50, this automatically will make an algo bearish. They're going to be bearish anyway, but this is going to clearly keep them bearish and keep them short. And from this point right here, their target is here. This is where their target is. $3,334.97. You can see they made target right here. And during this movement here, once they hit this target and broke through it, this for me, when I was watching this movement here, made basically them hitting this target, not holding it and not bouncing basically with extreme bullishness. I mean, I'm talking about extreme bullishness, like this kind of bullishness on the initial move. That led me to anticipate that this algo now will really take the true swing high to swing low, which is now this target, which I talked about at about 27.85. That's not my opinion. That's algos. That's how algos trade. But like I said, they did hit their target here, and we're clearly in a swing bull trend here. So now I also want to go over what I deemed as obvious during my last video, which is why I didn't really cover the bullish case, because I feel like it's all over the place. It's all over Twitter. It's all over Facebook. So I just kind of like to do analysis of what everyone is not looking at. So now I'm actually going to go over to the 4-hour here. Going to get rid of these fib levels really quickly, and we're going to go to the bullish case here, and what all the bulls are looking at is basically 1, 2, 3 looks like it's in to me. Looks like it's in. The question is, have we finished 4 yet or not? I'll go over that in a minute. Let's just say we have finished 4, just for the sake of argument. And we're looking for something like this here. Now, of course, we would have to go through the subwaves. You can see here that common target for a wave 3 is the 1618 to the 175 of the length of the 1, which I'm just going to drive up here really quickly. You can see we blasted right through that. So that's quite the bullish move here in the bullish case, which if you're looking for wave 5, you're generally, of course, now without looking at subwaves and all that, you're generally looking for the 786. I always like to look for, especially in crypto, especially in Bitcoin. Wave 5 loves the 786 with Bitcoin. So I'm taking the length of the proposed 1, the length of the proposed 3 to the proposed 4, which if we want to call wave 4 in here, we'd be looking, now of course, this is if we're saying wave 4 is in. We're looking for, between, like I said, typically wave 5 is between the 50 and the 786. I like to look 786. That's typically where I like to look, but I also really don't trade wave 5, because wave 5 can basically get you destroyed, because 1, 2, 3, ABC and 1, 2, 3 look very much alike. So by not trading wave 5, you are protecting yourself from getting caught in ABC ending here and then rolling over. But 786 right up here, 63 to 6,500 area. You know, and that is, of course, if we're calling wave 4 finished. Now, I do want to go over some issues with wave 4 really quickly. And for that, I'll go to the 1 hour. And basically, the way I've counted this is, this to me looks like a flat correction. The problem with flat corrections is they're extremely unpredictable, and they can go several different ways. We can have something like this, where it's basically, you know, it's irregular, and we would now start a push up. So you'd be looking for this here. This to me doesn't look very likely, because this little move here looks much more corrective than impulsive. But just for the sake of argument, we'd be looking for loosely drawn, a 5-wave impulse up here to perhaps start our 1 of 5. But one of the things I don't like about that is, if you look at volume here, you're seeing distribution in the lower time frames with these red bar candles. Yet you're seeing clear distribution here, and you're not really seeing accumulation as you would like to see in a completed correction. So now I'm actually going to show the wave because it makes it more clear. Now here's the other possibility of a flat correction, which is basically this. We put in double bottom, and you know, that's where you would start your impulse from that area here. You know, roughly, of course, you can always overshoot a little bit. And then the other is something down in this area, which I've been going over, would just completely cause max pain, because after this corrective wave, this corrective ABC, you'd have 5 impulse waves to the upside. So basically, bulls get destroyed here, bears get destroyed on the way up, which, you know, if you guys have been trading crypto, you know that this is quite the possibility here. Another thing is, like to go over again, is we have this uptrend, and, you know, I mean, if you're looking here, you'd certainly like to see a retest of this trend line as far as support. So, you know, I mean, you can maneuver this around, but you guys get the idea here. So that's just going over really quickly. You know, the possibilities, kind of what I'm looking at here. And one of the other, the tricky bullish formations here is, you can see this looks like kind of like diamond bottoms here. This is a bullish formation, but not validated by volume. So, you know, take that with a grain of salt. But, you know, so basically this is what I'm looking at. And if you're zooming in here, you're looking, I mean, this is the point of control here, and we're kind of just riding this. So, you know, you really, from a bullish perspective, boy, you sure would like to see this hold here. I'm also drawing from here. You know, you sure want to see this hold. In fact, you know, I don't, if this breaks here, I certainly, the possibility of that much, not much more, but further correction and further downside is much more likely before the proposed move up to put in higher highs. So basically, you know, that's that. That's all I want to cover. Really quickly, I wanted to give the bulls their fair, you know, their fair due here. So, you know, if you guys like the content, like, subscribe. Like I always say, any opinions are appreciated and respected. And I hope actually that brings me to one last point that I actually forgot to bring up here, which is on the indicators. And for this, I will go back to log really quickly. Okay, going back to the weekly chart. And let's see here. I want to pull up two indicators. The first being the RSI, the regular RSI. And I'm actually going to blow this up a little bit now. Again, this is the weekly chart here. And you can see that we put in, you know, a really low here, just barely to the condition of oversold on the weekly chart. But I will also draw here. This to me is a very significant level. This is somewhat of the median line here. You can see the reaction here: breakdown, test, pullback, last through. This is where we're sitting now here. So a break of this resistance, as far as on the RSI, would be very bullish, in my opinion, for further upside and further to basically put in a higher high. Now we did have, you know, just the oversold support here, and this one is also very interesting to me. Because this, if you look at this one, I'm actually going to remove all the other ones now to make this one, to make this one more clear. Let's just go back here really quickly. Okay. And we're going to go my horizontal lines here. Okay. Where was it? It is this one. Okay, this is this median line. Was it this one? Okay, it's here. Yes, sorry. It's this one here. And during the, basically for the last year and a half, I've been saying that if 54 RSI breaks or 53 RSI breaks on the weekly chart, that it's going to lead to massive downside. And that's basically what happened here. Once we broke this area at 53 RSI, and another important level was 45 on the weekly, that to me was telling me that we would have quite a bit of downside ahead of us. Now, the reason I pull that, where I pull that from, is right here. Because if you look at this, you see that this was really on Bitstamp's exchange here, that this was the first resistance on the RSI. And we had a nice pullback, and then we had a push up, and we had a huge bull run after this was broken here. So you can see that once we broke it again, we had a lot of downside back in 14, 15. And we had to reclaim it, and it led to another big bull run. So as far as the bulls, I mean, this looks good here. As far as this RSI, we went oversold just by a tick, and we blasted right back through this. So, you know, this is very, you know, this looks good here from an RSI perspective. I'd like to see more volume come in here, but, you know, as we start making new highs, if we are in fact going to make new highs, the volume will come, the volume will follow. So, but that was basically on the RSI. Now, Fisher, which is one of my, I really like Fisher Transform. It's one of my favorite indicators. It's really good with Bitcoin as far as predicting reversals in trend. Now, if you can see on the weekly chart, pegged the reversal. As soon as Fisher crossed, straight up, which is you know, one of the reasons I really like Fisher. Now, I'm just going to go really quickly to the monthly chart, which is what I want to drive at, which looks great for the bulls. Trying to get rid of this. Well, anyways, I can't. Let me move these. You guys can't see it, but I have a bunch of other crap on my screen that's in the way. But you can see this. Look at this cross here on the 1 month. This is the first cross that we've had since back in. Stuff is really hard to do when you're on lock, but basically right here is our bearish cross back in January of 18. And we have bullish cross right here on the monthly chart. So there is evidence here of things looking bullish and things turning around, even on the macro scale. So I just, you know, like I said, I want to give the bulls their fair due here. But that's about it. I'll try to update a little bit later. But anyways, thanks for watching, and check you guys next time. I hope you enjoyed the bullish case here.